This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, or you can call me Foo, hence the name of the podcast. Today I have Karen Hite. Hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. If not, just correct me. She works with agencies. She's out in Nicaragua, does a lot of events in Costa Rica. I've been following her for quite some months right now. I've had a couple conversations with her. She's amazing in the marketing and helping other agencies. And I'm going to let her tell you more about that. But first, Karen, how are you?
Doing good, Foo. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm excited for this chat.
Yeah, I'm excited to get into things too. So thanks for taking the time, right? First of all, and let's kick it up with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Yeah, well, my husband and I actually started our digital marketing agency 5 years ago. Since then, we started as a white label agency in the beginning, and then we moved into a franchise model. And now my focus is on helping agencies implement some of the teachings, I guess, learning, like processes, lessons that we had along the way to grow their own agencies to hit $1 million. And so that's the focus that I have and above. So yeah, like I now run a group of agency owners that are above $1 million, focusing on growing, scaling, and doing it all while trying to remain sane and stable and creating opportunities for their teams and also just an amazing opportunity for their families to grow.
I love it. I love that holistic approach that you have, that looking at the whole person concept rather than just business side of things, right? You did mention, 7-figure, that's the goal and past that. But at the same time that you also brought it like the personal, the families part. I know that you also bring the Christianity thing into things, and I really love that. Because then it's how to reverse engineer the lifestyle of your dreams, not just focus on money and then with that money then we'll create the lifestyle of your dreams. So
absolutely. I mean, I think through that, the reason why I'm so vocal, I think about just like having a belief system. And for me, it's Christianity, right? I think we all have our own paths and we have to figure out what that is for us. I fully believe that God has sent us all here to, do something more than just like running businesses to make money. I think there's a service aspect to it that, we have to like be very intentional about. And the reason why I'm so vocal about it too is because I've met so many agencies that have grown to major numbers and have achieved so much in the eyes of the world, but become so lonely and so empty in so many ways. And so I think it's important that we discuss, like what is the intention behind all the actions that we do, whether it's growing our businesses or being parents, or like maybe you're a stay-at-home parent if you're listening or not, but what is the intention behind that? And I think once we have a clear intention and a purpose, that allows us to actually enjoy whatever we're doing. And for me, it's just like knowing that I'm backing anything up with my belief system, which for me is priority. And so I just want everybody to like find what it is for each person.
I love that. And for me, the way that I do say that the term belief system, especially I was talking with Dr. G, that was a guest a couple episodes ago, and he talks about fixing your BS, but BS are belief systems.
I love that.
So that it was pretty funny because like BS and then belief system, and that was pretty cool. So he also has a very similar approach to that, and so I really like that. And the way that I've learned about it and kind of vocalize it has been before this, because now I'm kind of using belief systems a lot because it's coming up like another guest and now you and I'm starting to like it, but before was more of I call it more like either North Star or that anchor that keeps you grounded, that thing that, because life in business that is hard, like it's just there's a lot of things, so you need to have something that will help you push through the challenges. So that's why, the belief systems, anchor, North Star, however you want to call it, it's just having that purpose, have something that will help you have that drive to keep pushing through the tough times. So.
Well, and I think, if you have read any books, especially as you're in entrepreneurship, one of the things that becomes the main focus as you're scaling and growing, because there's a point where just money, after you have met your basic needs, there's just so much that will bring you happiness, right? And for a long period of time, after you have met your basic needs, you find yourself finding little moments of joy, and that becomes sort of like that adrenaline, that junkie that we're becoming. Like, how can I get the next sort of like hit of joy? And that's why we become so empty. But I think, like, once you figure out what your purpose, we call it commitment. That's why we have the Commitment Summit or the Commitment Mastermind, just because that's really what we try to lean towards. That is the thing that just really pushes you. And I think a lot of businesses talk about values, where values come from that commitment, right? Like, what are the things that are going to define the intention behind achieving this XYZ goal? And normally it has to be something outside of like something too tangible. In our case, we started with a commitment of creating 1,000 jobs in Nicaragua, where I'm from. We really felt that was like our goal. Now I think we're more called to, and I'm going to maybe explain a little bit of that shift. I think now we're called to create stability in our country. So like, still bringing jobs, but I think when you put a number to things, what happens if you hit 999 jobs? Like, are you going to be unhappy, if you didn't hit that 1,000? So I think just reframing even our concepts on commitment allows us to like then formulate what are the values that are going to get me there. And as businesses, we all know how important values are. If you don't have values defined in your business, there's no alignment even between the culture that you're building, and there's not going to be an alignment for the things that you want to push. And so having that unity and those concepts are crucial for the growth, not only within a religion or whatever, but just as entities that can actually withstand whatever happens to them.
I love that. So if you were to have some very punchy tips or advice for business owners or agencies, if you want to go very specific to your target audience, what would those be?
Well, I think, that's a pretty loaded question, because there's so many advices depending on so many different areas of the business and your journey. I think when you're starting, the advices that change than when you're, already like hitting at 1 million. But what could be my advice? I think depending on who's listening today, there might be different areas of opportunities inside of everybody. But I think for me, my main advice as I'm looking into my business journey, besides, like figuring out what my commitment is and purpose for doing the things that I'm doing, I think it's also finding a way to serve others in the best way possible. I think we've talked a lot about in the agency space, going from lower ticket to high ticket, and then like, how do you like scale? And like, there's a big focus on getting the next client, and how do you continue to grow? That sometimes we can lose ourselves in the just focusing on like getting instead of serving and actually like delivering value. And I think that's the part that we can forget when things are rough, when you're not making means, and when you're focused too much on like payroll, it's very easy to just focus on like, okay, I need that X client, I need that X revenue, I'm going to sell this, even though I know this client is not going to be the right fit for me, and it's going to be probably more painful, but I need it right now in terms of revenue. And I think when we focus our mentality, when shift that to how can I serve, we approach even our branding in a different way. We approach the prospecting side in a different way, and we're able to create relationships that are a lot stronger. It might take a little while, to like be able to close in those like really good relationships, but the lifetime value that we're going to be able to get, just like how long these clients are going to stay with us, how much we're going to be able to overcome with them. Something that we talk a lot about at Hite, especially with JC, is we always say like love covers a multitude of sins, right? And I feel like that verse just really applies in anything that we do in business, because you will mess up as a business owner. Even if you're like just getting started, or if you're like already like at a certain point, there will be moments where your team might drop the ball. So you're going to have to go and pick up, the pieces, where something outside of your power will happen. but we've seen it even in ourselves, that if we're able to be consistent with who we are and we focus on focusing on the other person, and like we like to partner a lot. We like to do a lot of partnerships, and John Maxwell was talking about that. Actually, like this week we just started our mentorship program with him inside our mastermind, and he was talking about partnerships, focusing on partnerships as I am going to put that other person's agenda above mine. That is a true partnership, because when you start thinking about how has that person met my needs, that's not a partnership, right? Like that becomes just a selfish look on a relationship. And you can take that to marriage too. You don't have to like, build a business to like focus on that. But I think when we serve others from that intention of just like trying to give back, and maybe not even expecting anything, just doing it out of the goodness of our hearts, I think that speaks a lot more of who you are, and you're starting to build a culture and a reputation for yourself.
I love that. Very like focusing on serving rather than what's in it for me. That is a very, very strong mindset, because when you focus on serving, and especially, if you believe in the law, reciprocity, and just, God giving you the blessings and all that, right? That serving is super so important for me. That's something that I focus a lot, and it sometimes it's not even the action. Sometimes it's also like the perception too, because it's sometimes we when we're talking with our clients, like we're there serving, but then when we're doing our marketing, then we're not actually displaying how we're serving. We're just, because it's the easy stuff, like just get a picture of me and then just me. And that's something that, to be honest, I've been guilty of. And it's just sometimes
we've all been guilty. Yeah.
Right?
I mean, like we all do it. Like we all do it. I see it in myself, the times where I'm like, sort of like you catch yourself in the day to day, like just like breathing, even how you breathe, if you're like breathing from like just like here up and not like actually from the stomach, it's like there's like a level of anxiety. And I feel like that happens anytime that I'm like, just what is the next thing that I have to do? Just like going at it from like a movement and like, okay, just like needing to like get things done, rather than from what is my intention behind this, and how am I serving? And even how I approach calls, I can tell the difference when I'm looking for the sale, when I'm looking for that person to like give me something. It different from when I'm looking at like, how can I serve this person the best way in this call? How can I do good for that next person? Like what do they actually need? And trying to uncover that, I think, is just like one of the best things that any business owner can do, but especially in the digital marketing space, where there's so much education that has to happen for our clients to understand the value of our work. And we diminish that. We like just focus on like, how can we sign them up, and like they're still not educated, they're still not aware of like all the work that you're going to put in. So just spending that extra time really understanding if they're actually are meant to be a client of yours, or if you could just like send them something like, hey, go work in your social media for a little bit. Like you definitely need to like figure out your values, or like what is like the thing that you're doing, and maybe helping them in the process. I think they would value that a lot more than like, hey, I can do your PPC right away, and not even understanding who they are.
Yeah. And there's a thin line between being very intentional and pushing things, right? Like there's that line between like, I want to serve you, but I'm also shouldn't just serve and not be intentional about the things that the way that I'm doing things and how I'm phrasing things, right? Like that part, it becomes everything is about balance, right? And then how far you go and how that's where the problem is.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because I have I work with a group of agencies that are below, they're below right now the 20-30 mark, they're like trying to grow to that. And that's one of the things that I have a lot of people that are very like service oriented. So like it is a balance, right? You can go like all the way to the point that you're not actually charging for your services. And that is like the worst case, the worst thing that you can do. I think there is a balance there. What I recommend to those agencies is, at the end of the day, okay, let's say that you've talked to somebody, you've connected, you've added value, and they're ready, like they have the opportunity, they have the budget. Like, why would you not offer the help? Like, why would you like limit their growth you're not offering something that you know that it's going to generate an impact for them, and you're going to be able to multiply whatever they have been working so hard to achieve, right? Like you are that generator, and we're called to be good fruit and to multiply those fruits. Like that's 100% a part of our journey. So understanding, what we're meant to do. Serving can be sales. Serving can be me offering that package that they need, because guess what? There's a lot more people out there that are offering those packages without the intention of serving and without the intention of actually doing something good for them. So you taking the lead on, hey, I actually do care for you and I do want to see growth, and like you're in perfect alignment with the things that we have in place for your growth, and we have designed these packages for you. That is you serving them as well. So it's very interesting. Yeah, it's a whole conversation. I think that's why it's so important to surround yourself with people that have done it, with people that can give you a path there, because we often limit ourselves, and just what we know. And so at the end of the day, you cannot reproduce what you don't have, like you are literally multiplying the things that you have today. So that's why it's so important to focus on your own education, on your own growth, on how to identify, the opportunities for you to serve in the best way possible, opportunities for you to like maybe improve in areas where financials might be an area, that you need to grow on. So I truly believe that, we can all learn from each other, and that's an amazing opportunity that we have from the different skills and strengths that we share, and how can we complement each other.
Yeah, that's the power of community, is having that outside, right? Like there's the community and like masterminds, coaching, consult, like all the different things it depends kind of what are the needs and the way that the person, the business owner, let's say, style too of things and how they want to receive the help, right? Because everybody kind of receives support differently, and that's why the community you can pick and choose almost, right? Because you have so many different personas that you can pick from and get different advice to then implement it on yourself or your business or both, right? So that's something. So one thing, on these things that we're talking about is, we as business owners, me included, I know you probably are including this too, we get on our own way a lot of times, right? So like we'll talk about all this advice from our perspective. What are some friction points or challenges that you've seen that you have helped your clients overcome, or you overcame and then help your clients overcome?
I think that mindset on pricing has been something that I've overcome. It takes a lot of, I feel like 90% of sales is mindset, right? Like why is somebody else able to offer the package at a higher cost than you are, or higher price than you are, when you're doing the same thing? That to me is very interesting. Like why are they able to sell at a higher conversion rate? And it all starts with mindset. I come from Nicaragua. My first job was making $300 a month after I graduated in the US. I came back to the country, and I started making that money. So when I first started, like obviously there's the big path, there in terms of personal growth and development and things like that, to then charging, $30,000, for a mastermind, where we meet 4 times a year, and we have virtuals, and there's a lot of cool stuff that comes with it. But I think thinking about myself offering something like that, and even charging something like that, and the value behind that, was something I was just talking to one of my members. I remember the first time that we charged $10,000. I actually do not remember when we hit 8 figures. I do not remember when we hit 7 figures in our year. We never celebrated it. We never like really pay attention to it. It was something that really just happened. And so to me, it was very interesting that I would find somebody that would see so much value in me sharing the things that we were learning, and creating a path for them and helping them out. So it also has to do with, just a development in yourself, and like figuring out, what really works for our clients, what the market is all about. So I think like that has been something that we've been working a lot, in different scales, by the way. Like even $1 million agencies are still having issues with pricing. Like I know an agency that is doing above 2 million actually, and they're still charging $1,500 a month, where I have other agencies that are getting to that $1 million, but their packages are $5,000 a month. So it's just like, it's so interesting to me. And that tells you so much. Pricing is such an opportunity for you to provide better services, for you to provide a better experience for your clients, for you to not have to feel burned out because, you know, you have to sell every month, you know, something. And so just creating those frameworks for agencies has been really exciting to me, because things that, wow, it makes sense now to me. I can see how it didn't make sense to me before. And I'm able to like walk somebody through that journey, you know, and walk together through that. So yeah, I think that's one of the things that would be key.
I couldn't agree more. It's that pricing part and that, am I good enough to charge this, and how do I phrase it, like all this, there's so many different things. I mean, I've struggled with that, and it's a focus for me to how to keep leveling up, right? I've been doing this for 3 years and doing it for a lot more years, so that I'm gonna just keep growing. And the pricing it's a good way to kind of make it tangible, almost like that progress. It's like, look, I've become this value, and it's not because of vanity. It's because, like you said, is I've been in that position where I'm getting burnt out for not a lot of money, and then I have to focus on getting other client because I'm not getting my needs met, and then I have to, so if I would get paid, then I can deliver a better service, and that's what my focus is right now, right? But and that's something that, moving away from that, at the moment when you need money, and sometimes it's like, oh, I'll take it and I'll just over deliver and whatever, you know, like I'll do whatever it takes, you know, sometimes. But then that shift that I've done on really prioritizing working on myself rather than on my business, and then how that reflects on the business, because like you said, it's all mindset. So if you work on yourself, like breath, where you kind of mentioned a little bit of that, and meditation, and really work on yourself and accept that you are a high value person, and now then the pricing and everything else just flows. So that's what
you have no idea how many, like, actually I just had a client that we were talking, and he was very much of like that servant, you know, mentality. He was like, I want to help people, I want to do that. And he would be like, I actually have a problem. But he was like, I have a problem with like my prices. And I was like, what's your problem? And he was like, yeah, like I have a problem like charging clients. And so I'm like, what? And so like we just went through that, and he's like, I just feel really bad because, you know, they might not have, you know, money. And so to me, I was like, okay, that I understand that, but then we just have to create systems around that, right? So like, if that is that something you want to do, you want to give, you know, value to people, they don't have the income, like how can you not stop like helping people, but how can you create a system around that? So we just work on, hey, okay, what should be that downsell opportunity you can send anybody to, whether it's a free downsell, you know, thing that you like just continue to connect with them, or like a very low value or low cost. Then what's your actual offer, and then how are you going to upsell them after that? Because we cannot leave people under here, you know, after, like, we want to continue moving them forward. And so he actually started by creating a Facebook group. And so now he offers monthly sessions, like group sessions for people that cannot afford it. Because at the end of the day, you know, the clients that cannot afford you right now, there was always at a point somebody that couldn't afford you that then it was able to, right? Like we want businesses to grow. So like you saying like, sorry, no, like it's not right now, you know, but I want to see you grow into getting to a point where you can actually afford my services. What a motivation that could be for that client, right? And so he's actually putting all of these people into a Facebook group, and he's doing monthly sessions where he's adding value. He's using that as for branding purposes too. So he's like serving himself what he's serving others. And so I think it's just like, how do you create those systems that allows you to use your values and your limiting values as well, like things that are like valuable, but they're creating a limit on your growth, and just allow you to see things from a different perspective. And there's always a way. I think like that's one of the things that we're very proud of here in Nicaragua, and I feel like most Latin American countries, like we'll always find a way to do things. You know, we might not have the means, but we'll survive and endure. And I think that's just something that we all have to think about.
Yeah. No doubt. Like it's a matter of, there's infinite ways to make money and give value. There's just literally infinite. So it's just a matter of either figuring it out, or if you want to cut time, like just have the right support to help you to really systemize things that way. Okay, this aligns with me. I feel good about it, and it's has the intention that I'm serving, but there's the intention that in order for me to keep serving, I need to eat and I need to pay my
Correct.
bills, right? So that's something that is that going back to that balance. So is there any last takeaway, based on all the things that we talk about, that you maybe haven't punched out that you would like to punch out before we wrap this podcast up?
Yeah, no, I think, man, we're all going through different parts of the journey, and in so many ways we're all going through the same. We all have like a need. Like it's so funny to me because people talk to me about sales. Yeah, like I'm like always like struggling with making sales, not like in terms of like selling, but just like every month, at the end of the month, like we're getting started. So like it's always a constant thing. We're always like finding ways to like add more value to our clients, and it's just at different levels, right? And so what I would say to anybody that's listening is, hey, like, just take a break, take a nap, like actually take the weekends off. There's seasons for everything. And put the priorities where the priorities should be. It's number one, because at the end of the day, you might like grow this thing to be $1 million and like whatever many figures you want it to be. But if you miss out on some of the most important things in your life, like being with your family and being a good person to others, and taking care of yourself, there's some things that we cannot take back, right? And there's some things that you cannot go back and redo. And so just having that perspective, I think it's important. And know that even though in social media a lot of people look like they're like, making it happen, and we all have our own like struggles and weaknesses, and don't focus too much on yours. Focus on how do you create those systems around those weaknesses, so you can just continue to strengthen on the things that make you awesome. And yeah, just keep going one day at a time.
I love it. I love it. That's such a great advice, and something to kind of take away from this. We're like, I really love that we're all in different phases, stages of our life, but at the same time, we're all kind of going through the same things. That's something that sounds confusing, but then you think about it, you're like, that's right. We're all humans. We all strive for the same things. We want to get recognized. We want to feel love. We want to feel all these things. And it's just there's different things and different perspectives, but ultimately down to the core, we're all humans and we all want to meet the same necessities for the most part. So, thank you for being here. I know there's going to be some people who are going to be like, I love her energy. And might want to connect with you. So what type of people are ideal to connect with you, and how can people find you?
Yeah, if you're a digital marketing agency owner, I'll be happy to like have a chat with you and connect over social media. You can find me as the Karen Hite on Facebook or Instagram. I'm in both places. Instagram is more about food and my kids, and then Facebook is definitely much more about the business. So yeah, feel free to like go follow or connect and say hi. And let's have a chat. And if there's anything I can help you with, amazing. I would love to serve in any way I can.
Perfect. Thank you. And she has great content. I mean, I've been following her content, and then I was like, you know what? It's time. Come, you want to be a guest on my show? And then, you say yes, got on my calendar, and now we're here. So, again, thank you for taking the time. I know that, we all have busy lives, and running at the level that you're running, taking the time to come here and about to me and my audience. I really appreciate that.
Thank you so much, Foo. I appreciate you for the invite, and I'm excited to be connected and just to continue to see the awesome things that you're doing.
Perfect. Likewise, and looking forward to then, we're both bilingual. Spanish is our first language, and doing another podcast in Spanish. That's on the books that it's something that we have in the pipeline that we're gonna do. And then the other step would be to either go to the Commitment Summit or something and meet maybe in Costa Rica. It's in my bucket list. It's my thing that I really want to go there, because I see you and Boris, like I mentioned to you off air, right? And it was amazing. Yeah. So definitely in my bucket list to go to Costa Rica, and ideally if I can make it a business thing too, right?
Yeah, 2 for 1. There you go. Awesome.
Yeah,
thank you.
Perfect. Okay, so this was Karen Hite and Foo, and this is us signing off.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.